So I want to turn it around today. Typically, you're asking me questions. I'm going to flip it. Talked a lot about digital transformation the other day, specifically about oil and gas. I'd like to talk to you today about mining, right?
Okay.
Two things. What are the challenges you see in the mining industry in digital transformation, specific to networking? And then what do you think the solutions are that they're seeking? Why don't you kick it off and just give me an insight into the top challenges?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, we could probably break it into underground mining and surface mining. So let's start with surface. Um, and there's lots of commonality, but at very high level, one of the biggest challenge that these mining companies are having right now is providing themselves the ability to adapt to the new dispatch system. The dispatch systems are basically the mine operating nerve center, and a lot of these companies that are providing these systems are now assuming that the network that this will run on will have full mobility in order to be able to talk to the haulers, the crushers, right, the shovel, and the staff. So these systems track where every device are, all the machinery, and these systems now are starting to be able to do semi-autonomous capability. So that is a challenge. This was not the case 5 years ago, right? And now it's happening and in mass rollout. That's one big challenge.
So how do they keep safe the workers with these machines that are semi-autonomous? Is that a challenge for them, the safety side of this?
Safety is always first, right? So operational benefits is second, right? But from a safety perspective, um, a semi-autonomous vehicle has some intelligence, but the nerve center is somewhere around the mine, and it's a bunch of servers that are figuring out where these equipments are. If one of these semi-autonomous haulers, and let's pick one big cat hauler carrying 400 tons of dirt, and it's now going at 50 miles an hour, and you lose connection to that's a speeding bullet, right? And the nerve center has to communicate to all the other ones saying, I got one that is wild, right? And then the one that has lost connectivity, the intelligence on board will have to stop that hauler. So the intelligence on board will stop it, and the head office or the nerve center will actually stop the mine. That is a big problem.
And does that exist underground as well? The safety stop. Obviously, they're not going 50 miles an hour.
The same thing will go underground. Believe it or not, there's some of these large haulers underground too, right? There's smaller equipment, but if you're in a narrow drift and you've got a scoop coming your way, and that scoop has lost connectivity, there's not a lot of place for you to hide as a person, right? So the same goes underground. It's the safety is still paramount, and then underground you also have the air and water factor, right? You are underground, so you need to make sure the sensor for air are there, and the air is available and it's in good quality, and water that there's not too much of it, right? So these are two other parameters that you don't see as much on the surface, but they're mission critical parameters, and the sensors cannot be disconnected. It's life or death, right? If somebody get caught and water raises and nobody gets an alarm, it's not a good situation.
Yeah. Yes, I can see. So the network for them is an essential service to allow them to operate their mines.
It's an essential service to allow to safely operate and operate, right? So there's two variables here. The safety is good. We have a green light on safety, then we can operate.
And what do you see as some of the solutions they're looking at to allow them to manage this obviously complex semi-autonomous mine infrastructure, both surface and underground? What are the solutions they need to enable them to keep safe and keep their productivity high?
Well, so many of them have either private or public LTE now, or in a process of doing so. They have a lot of proprietary equipment, and they have a lot of Wi-Fi. Mining has been using Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for some time. So they have a mix of Wi-Fi vendors. They have a mix of Wi-Fi age and standards. So one of the things that they really need to get their head around is, how do I manage these diverse network and these diverse technology from a mission critical perspective. And I also have an aging workforce, and we're bringing some new staff to manage all network. How do I get visibility to the business unit, to the telecom guy, the application guy, the dispatch guy, as to what the network is doing? So having a tool that monitors the health of the network at machine speed in real time, rather than have people correlate various screen, having this presented to them on a single pane of glass is a tremendous benefit, because they can now see what the network is doing, how the applications are behaving, and how the end device, whatever it's people or machine, how do they are serviced. And that visibility can be given to all the different business units, not just one guy in a knock, right?
Right. Very interesting. So it sounds like there's lots of opportunity to improve and provide that single pane of glass, and the industry will evolve quickly on the digital transformation. So very
Yes.
exciting.
Yeah, and all of this is driven, with autonomous or semi-autonomous vehicle and all these new technology. They're flying drones in the drift or on surface to get lidar information and get air quality information. All of these are critical new component that were not there 5 years ago, right?
Wow.
And they have to be sitting on the same network foundation. So the network has to evolve, and the network is mission critical right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Louis, for sharing your insights into the mining industry and the changes that the digital transformation is bringing upon them. And look forward to our next Cheetah's Corner. And once again, thank you. Have yourself a great day, and get yourself a coffee, right? Nothing like
I will. Thanks, Mike. Have a good one. Be safe.